All right, let's talk about photographing flat art first. And that's paintings or drawings or anything, photographs that you've already done, anything like that. So as an example, I'm going to use this painting that my mother did. She was a real good portrait artist. And I'm going to show you a couple of things about photographing flat art that you should know. The first thing is that the lighting has to be done in such a way that it doesn't show any reflections off of the surface. And the way where this is right now, you can see that there's a light behind me. See how there's a window back there? And that light is creating an incident angle, and it's going right into the camera. So you would never, ever want to see anything for lighting that looks like that. So you would want to have lights that do not reflect off of the surface of your artwork. Now, this is only for flat art. If you're photographing something like a vase or a sculpture or something, you probably do want incident angle light to show the texture, the roundness and everything. But for flat art, we don't want any incident angles. So we would shoot using two lights in the setup that you see here. They're 45 degrees offset from the subject, so the reflections bounce off the artwork away from the camera, and we would use two equally powerful lights for that. Another possibility is photographing outdoors on a sunny day and having the light strike your artwork at a 45-degree angle and making sure there's no reflections that are bouncing off of the artwork. So typically we would put the art on an easel or put it on the side of a building that's being lit by direct sunlight and striking it at a 45-degree angle so we don't see a reflection of the sun. And that produces a very, very good result. The other way to do it is to take the artwork outside and hang it up in open shade. But sometimes that will show a reflection of the sky, and that will be also an unwanted reflection. Now I want to talk a little bit about getting your camera square to the artwork. So if I take this photograph and I'm off a little one way or the other, the artwork is not going to be a perfect rectangle or a square. It's going to look like a trapezoid. And right now, as you see it, you can see that this edge looks a lot bigger than this edge. That is not acceptable for photographing flat art. It has to be absolutely square to the camera. And your camera may have a viewing option that puts Fibonacci lines into the viewer. So look in your viewing options on your camera and see if you have that feature. It's very, very handy for making things perfectly square. Now you can correct minor adjustments, mistakes that make your artwork look like a trapezoid. You can correct that in Photoshop, but if you don't have access to Photoshop, you're going to have to get it perfectly square. So when I say perfectly square, I mean that I am going to be absolutely square to the object. The center of my lens is going to be right at the center of the painting, and I'm not going to be one way or the other, up or down. And that takes some doing. And it really helps you to have your artwork on an easel or hanging up on a wall to do that. And if your flat art has glass, you want to remove that, because glass shows dust. It's particularly bad for reflections. Here's another place in my yard that I often use to photograph artwork on sunny days. It allows me to shoot at a higher camera angle, and also it's a flat surface because it's the wall, and I can measure the height and then get the center of my camera lens to be pretty accurate. Now I'm going to use a polarizer to get rid of some of the reflections that are bouncing off the sun, because this painting has a gloss finish and it also has a lot of brush strokes on it. And the polarizer actually cuts down the light by 3/4, so you have to make a significant change to your exposure. So that means that I'll probably have to go 2 ISO stops higher to equal this polarizer. So currently at ISO 200, 400, 800. That should give me the right exposure. So I'm at a 90th of a second at f11. Now if I really want to have a real sharp image, what I will do is I will lock up the mirror. I've got it on mirror lockup. The first shot you're going to hear is the mirror getting up out of the way. Then I'm going to press the shutter very gently for the actual exposure. The mirror is up now. Oh yeah, that's a much improved image from the shot that had no polarizer on it and showed a lot of specular reflections. And then with the polarizer, it really got rid of a lot of those reflections. Okay, that is the really quick and easy way to do flat art outdoors. And again, just in review, you want the sun to be striking the painting or your flat art at a 45-degree angle. You want it to be 45 degrees up and 45 degrees to the side. And you check that just by putting a pen here, and you can see the shadow is perfectly 45 degrees there. And you want to do it midday so you get the right color temperature of lighting. You do it late in the afternoon, it's going to be too yellow, and if you do it after sunset, it's going to be very blue. One way you can avoid color temperature problems is to use a gray card and set your white balance and your exposure to the 18% reflective gray card. These are available, they're very inexpensive. You just get the biggest one that'll fit into your camera case. The other way that I do it, I just do it visually, but I shoot in RAW. And RAW allows you to do a very good job of color correcting.